Hello all, welcome to oratrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about an aggregate function called list aggregation, and let's see the content of it. So, list tag is a single set aggregate function, and it operates on all the rows and returns one output row. And the major functionality of this one is it just clubs all the set of records and provides one column. It's separated by a delimiter, which is mentioned in the syntax. So here, this list tag has two portions. In the first portion, we mention what is the column name in the output you want, as well as what is separator you want to mention. And then we have to mention in which particular grouping logic, on based on what grouping you have to mention, that will be considered within the group by logic. So we'll see the samples, then it should be very easy to understand it. So let's see a couple of samples. And the first example is, let us say I have a requirement to list down the list of employees in our table. But I just want to list all of the employees in a comma separated fashion. I don't want to list each employee in a single record. I want to group all the employees and just provide one single row and with a comma separated values. Then here what I'll do. So this is source. Source is the from scott.emp table. And then using the list aggregate function, here I mentioned the column name called e.emp number. And the separator is a comma separated, which is I mentioned in the single quotes. On overflow, truncate with count. So generally, this particular list aggregation has a limitation on the number of records or number of values it can show in the output. If at all, if it reaches that limit, it simply says that like it skipped 15 rows or it skipped like a 30 rows, something like that. With clear information about the count, it will tell you like 15 more records were there, something like that it will mention. And now in this one, what are we mentioning here? Within group order by MP number. So we simply mentioning that you just get the data, and in this group, within this particular group, and based on the employee number order, you just print the data. So that's what here we doing in the first sample. And now in the next sample, almost similar, but here what I want to do is, let us say in each particular department, I want to list the list of, the employees. It's not jobs, it's employees list. So in each particular department, I just want to print the employee number here. It's almost similar. Here we have joined two tables. And here we already mentioned the group by department name. So that based on the unique number of departments, it will show in the first column. And in the second column, what are we doing? We are grouping the data. Like we are the group of data based on the department name. And within that particular group, we are again grouping the data based on the employee number separated by comma. Okay. Now the next one. Now the next thing is here, similar to the earlier sample, but only thing is here, instead of printing the employee number, we are just printing the jobs here. E.jobs within group order by jobs. And the next one, it's almost similar again, the same as the above one. So now the final one is, let us say, I just want to, so sometimes you may get a requirement. Let us say you may have around 1,000 employees in your table, 1,000 records you may have it, and you just want only the first top three or top five or top 10, some based on the requirement you want to print it. So in this sample, what I've done is I've just taken a random logic, getting the first five employee records without any specific order, and then later I'm just grouping it. So it's like you're printing a top five records or a first five records from your employee table. Okay. So now we'll see all of these samples one by one. So what I'll do is I'll just go to livesql.oracle.com. Now here, let me show you the employee data first. So I'm using the scott.emp schema. And if at all, if you want to work on this particular similar schema, you can just use livesql.oracle.com, which is a free subscription. And make sure that you mention the schema name, scott.emp. So here we have this data. Okay, so we got this particular set of data here now. The first sample, what I'm doing here is, this is an employee table, plot.emp. And this one, I'm just simply truncating the employee number. Sorry, list aggregating the employee number and separated by comma. Okay. Now let us say if you want to have a different separator, you can just mention like this. Let us say I would like to have a different separator. I want each employee to be separated by @ symbol. We can try this way. Okay. Now we can see in the output, each employee got separated by @ symbol. Now let's see the other sample. So here we are joining the two tables, and in this one we have department number here, And in the once you got the department number grouping, whatever the data which you have that for that particular department name, we are grouping only those employees, right? So now if we just execute this one, the employee numbers of that particular specific group are separated by the comma. Okay. Now we can try the other one. And one more thing, in the recent version of the database, like from I think from the 23, you have an option of mentioning the distinct also, right? You can just try this. We don't mention distinct, right? Let us say for a given particular for a particular department, you may have the duplicate job also. You can just try this without distinct. You may see a duplicate in a specific department and the job names. If at all, if you want to have a distinct, yeah, you can just use the distinct option. If you observe, right, for sales, we could see a lot number of people, the salesman job. And if you just try distinct, you should be able to get the unique data. Okay. And the final one is with the row num, right? So here, this particular data, the selected data, it just prints 5 records, the top 5 records or any a dynamic 5 records. And then I'm using the table alias for that. And on that particular data, I just want to print the list of records. Using a list tag, I just want to print those particular data. So in this way, I just able to print all the employees, the top 5 employees on which I got it, right? Using row name logic. By default, you don't have any list tag with row name logic. So you have to use them as, a separate table clause and get list tag applied on that. Okay. This is all about list aggregation in the Oracle SQL. Thank you.